hello, people of Earth.
People of Earth.
Well, and other places as well. We're not going to be prejudiced, but we'll include people of Earth. Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
So, some of the subject that we may cover here, we have a link to an article I wrote some years ago, which is in 4 languages on transform.org. And feel free to read the article, ask questions. We have online now Mari, yes. So, well, I thought I looked more beautiful without glasses, but then I'm not reading the little phone. But we'll solve this. So some of the subject for today is because people are often really puzzled and asking about the phenomena where people seem perfectly nice and just suddenly have another personality for a time, and often they recover and nobody quite knows what's happened. And there's many levels this could be answered, but the particular answer for today is of particular interest to Slovenians, because Robert here is a civil engineer from Slovenia. Who do we have online now?
I think Nate's appeared.
Oh, hello, Nate. Have you noticed in Slovenia in particular that people seem really nice and just suddenly there's somebody else, like some evil thing takes over the face?
Many times. Sometimes this happens just for a couple of minutes, and then what I have noticed is like they have amnesia, or like, so that, yeah, it just happens like really quickly. Then suddenly they're back to like nothing happened.
And have you ever wondered why that happens?
Many times. That was my shock actually, because it was great rapport, great vibe, and a lot of times just happens from nowhere.
I'll tell you one of the funniest little times such a thing has occurred. One time in Slovenia, there were 4 police from Chernobyl and 2 border guards. Border guards from the Croatian border, which is only like 14 kilometers away, right? You could walk to the border. And the 4 of them asked me for my identification. Well, exactly why? Because I lived on the mountain right there, and they all said they knew who I was, but I wanted my identification, right? And, I showed them the official Slovene permanent residency permit. And the whole 6, the 4 police and the 2 border guards, said that's not a document. They're totally possessed that a document, the only official document of a permanent resident, issued in their town, and it's their job to guard, like they're only making a check on inappropriate people that day, you see. But they all could not recognize a Slovenian document. 6 of them. And then they told me it's like a €2,000 fine if I walk around without a passport, right?
That's scary.
Scary. €2,000 fine if I walk around without an Australian passport. Yeah. So, I went into the local office and said, well, 4 police and 2 border guards tell me that you have issued me a fake document, because they said this is not a document. They said it at least 30 times. This is not a document. Those exact words. And this, the woman who issued the permit in the government office was quite shocked, and she called the chief of police in charge of foreigners, and he came to pay me a special visit to apologize for the police not knowing how to recognize a local document. And then I said, and why did these police say it's a €2,000 fine if I don't carry a passport? Oh, you should carry a passport. So I already had printed out ready for him from the Slovene police website in English and German and Italian and Slovene, in all 4 languages I had printed. Do not walk around with your passport. It's safer to leave it at home. It's on the police website. And yet 4 police and 2 border guards were trying to tell me it's a €2,000 fine if I obey the police website official orientation. You know, when they get possessed by something crazy, they just have no brain to think. It's really interesting. If you have officials do that with you?
I would say officials and different people. Like once I went to purchase, like to buy a frame for a bed.
Yeah.
And I asked for a receipt to get a bill if something would be wrong, to get a reclamation. And the guy went just totally berserk, like sort of saying it's already like really cheap, and like he's getting me that frame without the receipt, and that's it. And after 10 minutes like of being extremely nasty, like really behaving ugly towards me, he would ask me if I want to give instruction, like math, be a math teacher to his son. So I guess like he kind of turned back nice.
Yeah, the person returned.
Yeah.
So have you ever wondered what possesses them?
I would say I was saying something he didn't like, or something wrong, something that didn't match.
Oh, you thought it was something you said?
I guess, or...
Well, these particular 4 police and border guards, they were on Kochevsky Road, right? They were exactly 4 kilometers from a major massacre in which 31,000 people were killed in one day. Now, there is one historian that made a smaller estimate of only 18,500 who were massacred in one day. Like 5 kilometers from the school building, which I actually owned there to this very day, right? The number of 31,000 comes from somebody who actually spoke to the person that organized the massacre. So probably that's a more accurate figure, or not, but anyway, the official figure is can be as low as 18,500 victims massacred in one day, right near where these police totally were unable to think. And this is totally common because where there is these massacres, essentially those massacres serves as a blood sacrifice to the crazy idea, to the racial prejudice of those that performed the massacre. And of course, if you're an Australian in Slovenia, not that I know much difference between one race and another, but you know, the difference is, of course, totally imaginary. But still, to them, it's tribal, and you're a little bit different, and they get totally possessed by these horrific energies which have not been cleaned up.
Sounds scary.
Well, it's scary that people don't think of cleaning it up. If they cleaned it up, you see, in the article Connected, I was, conversing with Janez Drnovšek, who was the president of Slovenia, and he agreed that if someone cleaned up those energies, that there would no longer be war. But he doubted that anyone would bother to do it. In my experience, most Slovenians say, "Oh, there's something strange on that mountain." There's nothing strange. There's 31,000 victims right there. And a great trauma that needs to be cleaned up. And the Slovenians weren't bothering to clean it up. Oh, well, they think the Australians should clean it up and make their mountain clean. And the best attempt they made is that mountain was called Donnersberg, which is Thunder Mountain in German. Then they tried to solve it by changing to Friedensberg, peace mountain in German. Then they tried to solve it by changing it to Mirna Gora, which is Peace Mountain in Slovenia. But one day my telephone was blown out of the wall and the wires completely melted because lightning split a tree in two, which was actually 1 meter from the telephone wire. I guess that was a good night not to be actually on the telephone, and I wasn't, because $30,000 in your ear might have been a problem. But because of those types of storms, they had tried to change Donnersberg to Peace Mountain.
Yeah, it has peaceful moments, I would say, or hours. But
it has its peaceful hours, unless you have some other opinions than the locals want you to have. And they get completely possessed and absolutely unable to think. They're unable to follow their own laws because their minds just cannot process anything rational, anything ethical, just absolutely possessed. And it's just because these energies are extreme and need to be cleared up. But you see, it's not just that one massacre. Maybe some people not from Slovenia would think that there's just there was this one big massacre. No, Slovenia's 300 kilometers long? It's not square.
Kilometer, the longest, I think, is 500, the longest.
Oh, the longest you could make is 500 kilometers. Okay. So, there are 600 officially recognized massacre sites. 600 officially recognized massacre sites. So there's more per kilometer of massacres. That means family secrets. And family secrets means don't face what happened, don't clean it up. And that's why you find most people suddenly become someone else. What proportion of people that you've met there suddenly became someone else?
I would say that the extreme level would be something from 20% to 30% or a little bit more. That's really extreme, hardcore.
Yeah. See, the phenomena that happens, that the more evil anyone is, the more they resonate, feel at home with the massacre energy. And when there is an official that would like to do the right thing, a mayor or a judge or someone like this who would prefer to do the right thing, the corrupt person possessed by the massacre, blood sacrifice energy has no control in his head, but he's projecting from his solar plexus direct at the solar plexus of the official. So the official feels much worse than dead unless he obeys the evil person. That's the phenomena that happens there.
Yeah, we had one meeting there in a small town about where the highway should go. And when the most, it was kind of everybody had their own opinions or thoughts. My mother also thought about what's her, she expressed me her opinion. But when the ugliest person in the town spoke there, it was just she didn't know why. She forgot why we are there. She forgot what is her opinion. It was totally looked like brainwashing or totally
It's brainwashing, yes, but it's instant. The nicest person with something intelligent to say suddenly gets swamped. The biggest attack on minority groups currently on Earth is clear thinkers. The people would dare to say something clearly. Maybe that's been around for a long time. There are actually articles on that subject by great Slovenian academic Klemen Post. He has written articles about racial prejudice and the destruction of intellect over 3 centuries in the area. It's not just recent. Even though there are massacre sites to make it worse, the habit of destroying clear thinkers and intellect is actually academically documented as occurring for 3 centuries. That doesn't mean it didn't happen 5 centuries ago. But as far as Clement's research, I'm only aware of him mentioning 3 centuries, and any communications he's personally made to me only went back as far as 3 centuries of attacking of the intelligent class in Slovenia. Well, in Slovenia, of course. It's like what was supposed to be one of the toughest law firms in Slovenia. Mm-hmm. This lawyer said, you just can't do anything when the officials completely lie to you and do wrong things, because he was powerless to solve problems where officials were breaking the law connected with his own wife because of racial prejudice. She's not Slovenian. This is what the top law firm said to me. Now, and I thought, wow, racial prejudice, his wife, or what, she Chinese or from India? No, she's from Croatia. What? Croatia? Now, just so anyone that doesn't know who's not Slovene, the country is actually very new. It's a new invention. And when this lawyer and his wife were born, the country's name was Yugoslavia, and his wife was not a foreigner. Now she's a foreigner because they invented a border and made Slovenia to be a country. She became a foreigner, and there's racial prejudice.
I was also in 2 countries. Like, first one, original birth certificate would be Yugoslavia.
Yeah, why can't they give you an original birth certificate? Like, somehow there's this country got invented and you're a citizen of it. How did that happen?
I have more than 1 birth certificate. One is the recent one that I printed. It was like Slovenia.
Oh, so you have both. You're born in 2 countries.
Yeah, I'm curious. Yeah, I'm curious. If I print like in 10 years or 20 years, what would be the name then? European Union or?
Well, I visited a man in, it was called Slovenia. Where he lived was called Slovenia at the time. But this man has actually lived in 5 countries since he was born. Uh-huh. And he lives in the house he was born in. He's never moved. He never moved, the country moved. Now, it was Istria, it was Italy, it was Yugoslavia, Slovenia, I forget what was the 4th one, the 5th one. But he lived in 5 countries because the country moved, and he's on top of a mountain on the house. Is anyone there asking for how we clean this up, or...
There is, it looks like there is a lot of people watching.
Well, we'll get a new system where we see on the monitor who exactly is asking questions for the next episode. But we're finding out whether people actually want to know about real subjects or not. And what, if we want to continue having life on Earth, human life on Earth, that is, there will always be life on Earth. But as far as the optional life on Earth, like the human life on Earth, it would be really useful to have people that wish to know how to clean up the garbage of the past so that we can have an environment that works. And this particular video is starting at the lightest level. The lightest level being officials possessed out of control, unable to follow their own laws, and in fact doing the complete opposite. There's so many instances in Slovenia where the courts simply take fantasy submissions, where officials just invent reports. And it's just culturally normal in Slovenia. Just a tiny little instance. I was driving up the mountain near this big massacre site one day, and some strange guy pointed a gun at me, and he looked like he was on psychiatric drugs. And, I mentioned this to the police, and they said that they took the gun, but they refused to tell me who the gunman was. What the gunman offered them in order to not officially be registered, I don't really know. But then this tough law firm wrote a letter to the police demanding to know the name of the gunman. This law firm charged €200 to ask for the name of the gunman, right? And the police signed a letter saying they don't know who it was. And when this official in charge of foreigners came to apologize for four police having no idea to recognize a local issued document, this chief of police actually told me the name of the gunman. He was like the owner of a restaurant in Novo Mesto, a nearby city. Like, when they knew who the gunman was, they signed their name to a letter saying they don't know. Like, they really sign, in Slovenia, fantasy documents. Just make up stuff and sign it, and as if it's just what they're allowed to do because they're officials.
But isn't like what happens if they abuse the power? How long are they? Are they like longer in jail if?
Oh, okay. Now, if anyone cares to research what's the law on this, the senior laws of Slovenia are actually written quite clearly. They're on the Slovene government website in English, Italian, German, and Slovene. And it's clearly expressed that when an official violates his authority in such a manner, the official must spend twice as long in jail for his crime as anybody else. But that's what the law says. It's clear, you can read it in English or your favorite language on the Slovene government website. It's a really nicely written law. I think it's fair. But what they do in practice, they just sign what the hell they want. They just make up information, sign it. And they can do this because if you don't like it, then their role as violating the law is enshrined in the energy of massacre. 600 massacre sites in one tiny little country. We're talking about after the war, there were 600 massacre sites. There were 600 officially recognized massacre sites. That's not all of them because, the one near my school was protected by guards for 50 years so no one could get close. Even when it changed which country it is, someone was still paying the guards to keep this a secret. Thereby because, it wouldn't be right to reveal family secrets, but you'll have to reach the truth to become free of the agony. Every person that's affected by this is in mental agony. And they try to solve it by doing sometimes crazy things like cursing someone in the family, or by getting chronically drunk, by taking drugs, including psychiatric drugs, mixing psychiatric drugs with alcohol, which is a terrible mixture. Well, alcohol mixed with other drugs is normally extremely deadly. Various techniques to dull down their minds rather than simply face what happened, release it, clear up the energy, and enjoy a beautiful country. So as someone who was born there, no, you weren't born there, you were born in Yugoslavia, but where you were born is now called Slovenia. So as someone who was born in a country which became the one where they invented Slovenia as a country, did I say anything surprising?
Like, It's so it's if I would be saying it, it's like it's matching totally.
Matching completely, yeah.
But some countries have gone like a step further. Like in China, I have heard if there is a horrific accident, people come and clean the energetic place of the accident. So some countries are.
Oh yes, there are many Asian countries. They do not accept the building of a factory unless someone goes to speak to the land and get permission. Communicating directly with the land is common. In Australia, there's a place the Aborigines call the sickness country. They say that it's bad luck to ever move a rock from there. They just visit there, give a sacred ceremony once per year and say, never remove a rock. And the white people think, what superstitious natives they are. The sickness country don't remove a rock because that is the world's biggest deposit of uranium. Yeah. And for 40,000 years, they've known, don't move it. 40,000 years they've been separate from the rest of the human race, knowing that's a place you just honor and leave, you don't take the rocks out. I believe that Slovenians very easily could learn to clean up the environment, but one major challenge there is that officials get rapidly possessed with forces that don't want to be found. And it's not quite so much fun or pleasant to actually attempt to work there, at least on any basis as a resident there. Now, mainly because the people that are there pick up these energies and they are in living hell. They don't know how to get out of their living hell. I could easily teach them if they want to learn that, but teaching them while actually living there is actually not a very useful option because there won't be any respect of someone who is actually there. I don't mean that they can't respect, I mean that the local memes are nervous of anything that comes in to reveal the secrets.
Even if it's changed for the better.
Even if it's a change for the better, who you are now will die. Your ego of the moment is a character. And to live a much better life, the current ego will die and a new self will be reborn. It's really a wonderful process. But the existing ego, because it's false, fights to stay the same. So if people would like to post questions with this video, recommending what you would like for future videos. This was about mind parasites created by Slovenian massacres, and maybe some people have found strange phenomena in some other country that has a different source. And that may or may not be something that you would like to learn more about. For more information, we have a link for one article and on the Consciousness Designer on Facebook and patreon.com Rowland Barkley. Okay.
And Transforming Nightmares?
Well, Transforming Nightmares is the book well in process, and nightmares may be transformed, even national nightmares, such as the ones we have referred to in Slovenia, the national nightmare of officials possessed in the strangest of ways. But one time, even in Slovenia, when I was there, the taxation department brought down Parliament House. They held an investigation in Parliament House. They just stopped this parliamentary process. They're just because they were possessed by this attack force. All politicians suddenly turned into little gibbering babies and had no way to run the country till these taxation guys had put on a display of power, and left. Like, really, it's there's so many more examples, but that are equally funny on a national level. If you want to learn environmental clearing, well, we have the information. Is this a question of someone? Okay, so bye-bye.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching.
The master has spoken.
Pajé falou. That's Portuguese for the Pajé spoke.